want to write a book, bleeding sounds in a house of constant noise, where my voice can only speak in distortion, buzz, screech and shout, where the walls can't stop reverberating, turning sounds into echoes that reverberate, into echoes until the house is no longer just a house, it is a never-ending loop of vibrating sounds. I write in my room where the fire alarm is always on, screaming loud, loud, loud until its cries become more than sounds. It holds the space, transforms the space into spikes that touch bones, forcing even the tiniest body cells to tremble, to listen. To this high-pitching sound, turning everything into pandemonium, into when will this stop? It is not enough to listen. If you listen, it becomes too much, it gains your thoughts and devours your body, turning noise into noise in power that overpowers whatever body of sound you thought you were. Are thoughts noise too? In noise, I can't hear thoughts. In noise, I can't think. In noise, it is just noise until I stop listening and start being. Being the thoughts that are shouting and melting my brain into wild confusion. It matters which thought thinks thoughts. Does it matter which noise noises noise? When the fire alarm is on, which is always on, listening needs to be becoming. Becoming noise yourself, listening to noise by becoming noise, by hearing yourself part of the noise and the tapestry of sound that is weaving. So, it is only logical then. When the fire alarm is on, which is always on and never not on, this busy and constant being, I turn everything else on too. I plug in the vacuum cleaner, turn on the washing machine, let the dryer spin, open the water tap and flush the toilet. I make it into a game to turn on as many household appliances as I can. All the lights are on, the TV is always playing, the microwave beeps when the timer is done and the timer is always done. On my phone the alarm goes at 8, 8:01, 8:02, 8:03, 8:04, 8:05, 8:06, 8:07, 8:08, 8:09, 8:10, 8:11, 8:12, 8:13, 14, 15. I turn on the toaster that pings when the bread jumps out. I let water come to a boil until it overboils and the water on the induction makes it go beep, beep, danger. I open the freezer and leave it open. I plug the hairdryer and run a bath, making sure that it overflows so I can use the mop that screeches when pressed against the floor. I load the dishwasher to full, making plates clatter, cutlery hit and clinks, clacks, broken. I open all the doors and windows, let the gushing wind do its work. The house is old, so with every gust, the rattling doors creak and windows shake, waiting to scatter. Here, in the middle of the housewife's cacophonic orchestra, I sit down on the floor. The wind occasionally blows the curtains into funny shapes, only for it to slap back against the window when the wind takes back its flow. Here, in the turbulence of my own, I start typing as aggressively as I can, fingers hitting typing board until the point of breaking. It is here in the house of noise, where our story sets, where our story begins. Yet just like noise, it is unclear where a story begins, where sound begins, where I begin as a body of sound or a body that hears. Before there is noise, is there silence? If birthing is beginning, beginning is noise, because birth is the opposite of silence, and noise was already there before beginning. When I was in the womb, my mother told me I would bounce to music, make all sorts of movements that would stomp her belly. Maybe before I was crying noise myself, I was just listening, hearing the outside waves clash against the protective wall of my mother's womb, muting sound but never eliminating noise. I probably heard her insides too. I don't want to imagine the sounds that were made when I was being conceived, yet the moment I was a beating heart, I was in constant sound, engulfed in constant noise by being a rhythm myself, audible to the world, confirming what was once a line on the test, now as a beating, living thing. The thing that I now call I was first met by others through sound. The first sign of something that had begun, which had already started earlier, was now present and ready to be heard. Before I was able to hear, I was already sound, so birthing cannot really be beginning then. I stopped beginning, as I stopped writing, to turn on the radio that I forgot to turn on. I like it most when it's in between stations and it's just broadcasting waves of uncut sounds, Turning the volume knob makes the sound go from soft to loud, just like the fire alarm that is still hyperventilating because it is always on and it's still on right now. I put ice in the blender and blend until it melts into the sounds of noise and tension reliefs. Now I can return to the story that still has not really started, although it can already be heard. The story is already sounds. There are no characters yet. Or well, maybe there are. I have introduced noise and me an unclear I. I don't know who is this I exactly. Oh, I know, I write in noise and I'm trying to hear the story in the noise that I am myself part of, yet that is still outside of the body, even though my body is noise too and vibrating with the sounds of outside. I am trying to listen to conversations in noise, you reading, you listening, you probably want a character, one that is the subject of the story, that moves the objects in such order that the subject is the ultimate hero, saving the others from the big dramatic problem that I have yet to introduce. But the thing is, with noise, it eats the space and consumes its objects. Imagine a constant pitching sound like a fire alarm going off and never stopping like it is doing now, screaming about some nonsense. Here there is no space for having a subject moving objects, a hero for the story, because the space has turned into constant dissonance, an explosion of commotion, where every second feels eternal and the distance between the room and the exit too big to ever cross. The objects here belong to the sounds, bearing witness to the clamor. The subject here is put back into its place as part of the objects and environment he thought he controlled. If I'm in fact writing a story of noise, the hero is already long gone or found missing after he took the wrong exit and ended up somewhere far where he fell out of a frame and felt his body dissolving into something unclear that now cannot really be found anymore, because there's actually a debate if he was ever really there. And honestly, I don't care, because that little window in the corner keeps on clapping in tune with the constant vacuuming of the vacuum cleaner that does not really vacuum anymore, but still makes this annoying sound of sucking in air that circulates internally but can't really go nowhere because the bag of the vacuum was already full before the story could begin. So now it makes a sound where it just innocently spits its gathered dirt and wooden twigs right here on the floor, only for it to suck again and gather a little more of its pre-chewed shit. The word as the beginning. No, that's too biblical. In the beginning there was noise. Lamach, lamach, lamach.
They are internalized, they tighten my breast, circumcise it, but knowing that your breast signifies my hardness, in which form will I appear in front of you? The heat is seen and beaten over your bed and it is starting to it suits the order of what you want, forgot to keep the dots around. Before I found we always pulled our shoelaces, started actions and set out after we fucking bent on our knees and prayed for forgiveness. Each to our own matters under the table, dogs are all around us. Time to let in the ceremony master. Yes, time to let in the ceremony master. We were starting to gather in front of your window, launching your mats with a slingshot. It disturbed you, piece, broke your window. I was the bastard. When anyone was breaking the crystal ball, you were condescending and gracious. When I found the plastic ground in your cupboard and asked to use it as a candy ball or a gym base, you vigorously started inside the dogs. Yes, you were a desperate fairy of course immediately handkerchief. The dog appeared to be under thermal animals on the steel glass porch until we turn up and boggle, examine its power, and pack your clothes on a sunny winter day, and I hate this ugly trend in the corridor. It's time for everyone to stop talking. Reckoning is only to begin. Yes, reckoning is only to begin. Where are all the witnesses? Indeed, where are all the witnesses? Lanky guardian with ever moist eyes like clockwork tells me it said it is one in an hour. Which flag they did we talk? How strange that no one notices my fever asking to dip my finger into their cups. Great balls of dead butts. First, before the war, they say wild boars are now wandering there. I never saw it, but I can't wait to meet him. We rode a bicycle to get the monastery bread, and when we confronted the small sculpture between yellow summer houses, she instructed me in the lunges of Guido Cavalcanti How boring, how long ago? How boring, how long ago? On an open page, there is geometry of the world. All those drops on the snow, what are they indeed? Where are all the witnesses? I'm a bit tired of arms. I want you to kiss my sweaty forehead, to pull my hair and finger me in this dusty wardrobe under this ugliest trench coat. Well, that no one with clicking rings was releasing his sex drive. I was constantly thinking about this one monastery who would patiently waited for bread. And now how they imagine time there. Sex with you, my crusade against the moment prevented rape with Reconquista. It got harder to ride up to the sunrise. But I asked you if you were ready to die on his dick, and you said yes! And I was so envious. Finish your cigarette. At least she could finish. You were so proud to tell me. Constant humiliation. I don't mind that you enjoy that I am so poor. Where are all the witnesses? Indeed, where are all the witnesses?
There's a confession to be made. Because I'm running into problems. Which is actually the point. Because noise must be tangled, creating knots of cluttered
finally
sounds.
come to power, we'll cover
Spinning in on
everything
itself.
with spotted snow.
Noise is always the problem. It's just that I realize I've been
Noise is
listening
always
too
the
much.
problem. Everything
Trying
will
to
be
capture
blowing,
sounds and letters instead of dipping my letters in
sound.
sounds.
To forget means to begin, so to
To
forget
forget
means to begin.
So to forget means to begin, but I've been sitting here hoping for the house to wash over me so that I can blend and dissolve. And whatever I write becomes noise and just noise that exists in my house.
Noise that
But
exists
that
in
is
my
not
house.
enough. If
So
I
we
listen
begin our
in silence, I can
existence
simply allow myself to drown. I can let myself sink until I've sunk so
with
deep
capturing
that
heavy
the house
concordances,
could have been a
capturing
house,
jets
the
of
noise could have
diamonds,
been water,
and all
or
the
it
boys
could have
from
been
Sorbonne
mud. It
with their
does not
rolled-up
really
sleeves,
matter.
asking
Their
how we
rolled up
made it
sleeves,
here.
their
And
rolled up
then we
sleeves,
forget
it
them.
doesn't really matter.
Everyone is so
Because
light
I'm
and
no
small,
longer
we can
noise,
climb
I'm
up the
thinking
hill
in my
and
thoughts
climb it.
somewhere at the
Though
bottom
they
of what
stop
used to
lighting
be
it up,
noise.
it remained
Where my
dripping
brain
and
can
leaking.
filter
You
out
shouldn't be
the
afraid of
upstairs
the
sounds of
body
excess
from
waste
instead.
of daily
Or
life.
feedback in
Daily
sounds
life
or
continuing, and I
sheep
could
on the
birth
shore.
for president.
Yes, the revolution. Oh, the revolution started with the chamber of echoes, and I can
Chamber
shell.
of echoes.
The revolution started when my aunt put needles in my breakfast. The
Needles,
revolution
but really,
continues
if
with
the story is
unstoppable
noise and the house is sound, I myself need to
House,
turn
the
into
grass that
vibrations.
slowly covers.
I need to turn into vibrations, waves
I
and
need to turn
pulses that
into
touch and
vibrations,
reach.
the inner
Without
portion
a
of the
body
small
to be
snack
seen, I need
process
to be a
taken over and
vibration, which I
kitchen
already
where
am,
there's
but it's
constant
not
vibration
enough.
of branches of old apple trees and naked clowns.
Old
on the
apple
back.
trees, old
It's
apple trees,
invading
there needs to
spores
be
and
more
a
because I'm
pool
in
with
this
a
house
verse
of
of
feedbacking
night,
sounds
street
that is
lamp,
dripping and leaking
the
its
first thing I
bleeding
remember
tones of
is
unheard
verse.
frequencies.
The grass grows through the shelves with the ancient porcelain, two hard beds in the corner, and so
Porcelain, it's
patiently
not
the
enough to
grass
theoretically be an
penetrates the
energetic
attic, fills it
vibration
up, but
like
there is not
grass.
much to cover.
Grass
5 seconds
forever
ago, I
growing.
broke everything what was there, including old coats and layers of identity and old
Layers
newspapers,
of
because
identity,
my grandfather
layers
is
of
dead and no one
identity.
could
My
know the
body
grass
must
in
be
that
an
house.
instrument, a chamber of echoes, a vacant shell with needles poking holes, ready
Needle
to
poking
lose
holes,
its
the
solid
grass
form to
could have been
splash,
water, it
to
could have
splash,
been mud.
to splash
I'm no
and
longer
explode
grass,
and
but it's
become a
impersonal level.
resonance.
To make it impersonal, you should make it
impersonal.
contagious. To
Heard
lose your wife,
and
simply
untouchable.
allow herself to
But
drown,
there.
to cry for help in the primeval
There.
forest, to follow
There.
silently on Instagram, to meet lascivious
Instagram.
women from the streets of Tuscany to kiss saffron, who
From
cheek
the
to tie up your
streets of
children
Tuscany,
room, to
taking
give birth
over,
to a
invading
president, to have
pores and
sex with your father in
penetrating
your dream,
atoms.
or
Sex with
whatever.
your father in your dream, filling them up with sounds
Filling the mud with sounds
and traces of layers of identity and concepts.
and trails
Only
of
Sorbonne
identities
students would
and
know.
concepts.
I mean, noise, chaos, panic, noise
Noise, chaos, panic, noise,
of wanting to be unseen,
wanted to be unseen,
unseen, undone, and out of tune.
unseen, undone, out of tune,
Or whatever.
or whatever.